Breaking news: following Putin's lead, Venezuela considers annexing neighboring territories. James Stavridis. An impending crisis is developing in the South American oil nation of Guyana as authoritarian President Nicolas Maduro's Venezuela considers annexing a resource-rich region. The ambition of Venezuela endangers Guyana's newly acquired wealth. It is a clear attempt to acquire territory, similar to Putin's actions in Ukraine. As Maduro shows off his military might, Guyana seeks support from Brazil and the United States. This historic geopolitical rallying cry stresses the necessity of economic, diplomatic, and military actions to prevent a possible war in the Americas. Make sure you don't miss a beat by subscribing to the Biz News Insider first thing in the morning. On weekdays, the newsletter will be sent to your inbox at 5:30 a.m. Please sign up using this link. The dangers faced by Guyana by Venezuela keep up with Putin's Ukraine. The James Stavridis Playbook. Writer, James Stavridis. The South American nation of Guyana, which is rich in oil but is difficult for most Americans to locate, is currently experiencing problems. Huge and aggressive Venezuela, ruled by an autocratic leader with ties to Russia, Iran, Cuba, and other tyrannical regimes, is its neighbor to the south. Nicolas Maduro, dictator of Venezuela and a former bus driver and follower of leftist strongman Hugo Chavez, backed a referendum in his country last week, drawing parallels to Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Approximately two-thirds of Guyana's landmass, known as Essequibo, lies bordering Venezuela. The question at hand was whether or not to annex this expansive region. With only about 100,000 people calling this resource-rich tract home, it's hard to believe the abundance of oil, gold, fresh water, and lumber. International arbitrators rejected Venezuela's claims to the land in 1899, but the country has maintained its claim for over a century. Quite reasonably, the Guyanese regard the referendum as a grave danger to their very survival. Independent news outlets reported that many polling places were deserted, although the official tally was 95% approval of Maduro's policies, which was a given in authoritarian Venezuela. Guyana has a tragic irony. It has always been a very poor country, but now it is booming. The country's enormous oil and gas reserves, which are more extensive than Venezuela's, with more than 11 billion barrels of mostly offshore reserves, have finally come online, leading to economic growth of 37% in 2023 and even better results next year, according to the World Bank. With a population of less than 1 million, Guyana has the potential to become the Caribbean's equivalent of Kuwait. A large, belligerent, unprincipled neighbor with a socialist economy is considering redrawing maps, sending surveyors to Essequibo, and acting as if Guyana does not exist, similar to Putin's strategy in Ukraine. Is this supposed land grab going to have any consequences? What steps can the United States, its allies in South America, and the rest of the world take to address this issue? I had the opportunity to visit nearly every country in Latin America and the Caribbean during my time as commander of the U.S. Southern Command, which was in charge of military relations with the entire region. Unlike Venezuela, which was ruled by Chavez at the time, the welcoming locals, the understated allure of the city, and the breathtaking natural scenery of Guyana's mountains, rivers, and coastline left a lasting impression on me during my stay in Georgetown, the English-speaking capital of this former British colony. I sought to increase American aid while we maintained a low-key military-to-military relationship with Guyana's small self-defense forces. During our conversation, the president of Guyana expressed his concerns about three things: the flow of illegal drugs, the brain drain that occurred when young, bright Guyanese left for countries with higher wages and better job opportunities, and most importantly, Venezuela's territorial ambitions. I did everything in my power to reassure Guyana's leaders of U.S. support, even though we did not have a formal defense treaty with Guyana. Thankfully for the Guyanese, Caracas remained focused on internal matters due to the dismal state of affairs in Venezuela, which included the demise of the despicable Chavez and the emergence of a formidable opposition. Now that Maduro has solidified his power and a national election is approaching in 2024, the issue of Venezuelan Essequibo seems to be serving as a rallying cry for him. In order to prepare for extraction operations, he is dispatching personnel from the incompetent and crooked Venezuelan National Oil Company, PDVSA Corporation, to survey the Guianan waters and land. Maduro has signed a decree establishing a so-called High Commission for the Defense of Guyana Essequibo, and he has been advocating maps of a greater Venezuela that encompass the majority of Guyana. It is uncertain whether Maduro is seriously considering a full-scale military invasion to support all of this. However, these indications are quite concerning. When it comes to invasions, Venezuela's military is significantly stronger than Guyana's, with more manpower, better weapons, and training from Russia and Cuba. Assisting with the incursion would most likely be Cuban advisors, with just around 4,000 troops, including reserves, a pitiful defense budget, and no combat advisors stationed on the ground. Guyana's military forces are pitiful. So, the Guyana people are looking to Brazil and the United States, the two biggest countries in South America, for help. Assurances are being received, according to President Irfan Ali, whose administration is in talks with Washington and Brasilia. According to him, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva informed him that Brazil stands strongly with Guyana and has sent soldiers and armored vehicles to the border region between Guyana and Venezuela.